I wouldn't listen to myself. I listen to other people. I listen to podcasts. One of the people I like listening to is Dan Carlin. He's an American, and he speaks a lot more than I do. He speaks as much as a rapper. Have you heard those guys go on and on and on and on? I'm not the worst. I'm bad, but I'm not the worst. But Dan Carlin, his episodes, typically 3.5 hours each. And rappers, well, they just never stop. They just keep talking. They put a beat to it, and that kind of obscures the fact that they're banging on and on and on and on and on and on and on like I do. But they are just banging on, And Dan Carlin bangs on as well. A lot of people bang on. A lot of people never stop talking. You know what? But the trick to it is to speak in an interesting way, to obscure the fact that you're banging on. I haven't managed to achieve that. Finding interesting ways to speak. But Dan Carlin, he speaks in it with a very interesting tone of voice, American accent and all that sort of stuff, but not so different to my accent. But he's much more dramatic, the way he speaks, than I am. And rappers, they're dramatic too. And if you can find a dramatic way of speaking, you come across as less of a banger. A person who bangs on. Rappers, for example, if you just read a transcript of what they're saying, well, do it one day. Just read the lyrics, and what you've got there is one huge sook. In most cases, But I have rap songs sent to me occasionally, and I can't listen to rap. No, because the tone of voice vexes my spirit, But I will, as a sign of respect, read the lyrics, and I read the lyrics, and it's a completely different experience once you read the lyrics. Stripped of the emotion in the tone of the voice, the cadence and all that sort of stuff, and the beat. And you read the lyrics and you go, "You're kidding me. This is just one massive sook." In most cases. And Dan Carlin, he's not a rapper, but he's doing something similarly. Doing something similarly? How do you do that? He's doing something similar. He speaks for about 3.5 hours, and I really like. He's a genius. He knows what he's talking about. He knows all about politics and history and all that sort of stuff to a much greater extent than I do. But luckily, I keep my episodes down to maybe 10, maybe 20, maybe 30 minutes. But I have done one that's about 50 minutes, which is coming out next. I chatted too much. And I mentioned Dan Carlin in that, and that's because I've been listening to Dan Carlin. He's a kind of American version of me, roughly the same age and all that sort of thing. I'm prettier. Anyway. So, I even put myself off. Anyway, so I think there was one thing missing, I think, listening to Dan Carlin talking about America. Because he's a little despondent, and even he has said that. He's feeling despondent because the Republic, for example, when it comes voting time, these days, he doesn't like any of the candidates. That old thing, And even America itself, the people, he said they're starting to hate each other. One half of America hates the other half. And they're shouting at each other. Everyone's shouting at each other. And all that stuff. And he's wondering what... And I think he's despondent because I don't think he can put what the episode he needs to make, I think, is maybe we should back it in. But because he's an American, maybe he is too married to America in his soul, maybe he can't even vocalize the argument there is to be had for ditching the Republic. Just ditch it. Quite possibly it's not the right system for the future. The challenges of the future, even the near future, 2021. Maybe the Constitution of America, United States of America, the idea of America, as laid down by the founding bastards, is not the right model to cope with the kind of perfect storm that seems to be brewing at the moment, with viruses and economic disasters and China all crashing in at once, and probably, all we need is a couple of other things like that. Have them all collide at once, and you've kind of got a Rome situation, where Rome just collapses or goes out with a whimper instead of a bang, as another podcaster put it. Mike Duncan, his episodes are 30 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. Dan Carlin's are 3 hours and 4 hours. My episodes here are 30 minutes, 50 minutes. Anyway, mine are much more off the top of the head, which means there's no quality. There's no quality. But I can make the episode that Dan Carlin can't make. And it doesn't mean that I think the Republic should be put to the sword. It means that I can at least vocalise it without crying, because I'm not an American. And I don't have any real feeling for America. I've never been there. And I'm very likely to never go. I've only been overseas twice in my life, and one of those was just into the Pacific, right next to Australia, for my honeymoon. The only other time I've been overseas was just because someone invited me over there. Otherwise I wouldn't have gone. So I have no feeling for America, really. I honestly don't. Maybe if I went there a lot, I'd say, I love this joint, But, I love Botswana just as much as I love America. I had some warm, fuzzy feelings for Lebanon lately, actually. They got blown up down on the port. And, I looked at a few clips there and, I felt a feeling for Lebanon. I would honestly say that in the last week I've had more feelings for Lebanon than I have had for America. All right, so that sort of thing, So, but Dan Carlin is compromised a little bit because he can't, perhaps, make an episode in which he discusses whether possibly it's not such a bad idea that let's just give it up. Let's forget about this Republic of America idea, this experiment. Let's give it up. Because it might not be the right model anyway. They are certainly showing a lack of discipline when it comes to coronavirus. The people of America, they don't believe in each other, here in Victoria, we've had 2 waves, and we seem to be able to, we get a wave of coronavirus, and we've got the, we know how to knuckle down. The government says stage 3 restrictions, stage 4 restrictions, and we all kind of do it. Yes, of course, not everybody, but as a, in general, the whole of Victoria has kind of gone into shutdown, lockdown. It almost sounded like a Bob Seger song then. Shakedown, and so and the current wave is, we're in the middle of the second wave that's come. It was the stuff up that triggered it, but it's not about, you're not going to stop those stuff ups occasionally, major stuff up with immigration, So we've got a few people loaded up with virus coming into Australia, and they fraternised with some people, by the look of it, during quarantine. And the people with whom they fraternised went out into the community, infected the rest of us, not all of us. But the point is, once something explodes like that, our government, is able to make all the right noises, and American governments don't seem to be very good at that. And not only that, the people of Australia or Victoria, we know how to just do it to a large extent. All right, we'll wear our masks, I mean, people say, oh, on Facebook I saw an anti-masker. Yes. Yeah. The exception doesn't make the rule. By and large, we are more disciplined than Americans, I think, by the look of it, on the stats, at least. America, they just can't do it. They're just absolutely undisciplined, It's just chaos, Anyway, so maybe the model that is America doesn't work, Blame the people for that. Blame Trump. Blame Obama, blame anyone you want, I don't care. Like I said, I love Lebanon more than I love America at the moment, because I loved America more when 9/11 happened. Oh, look, but this is just compassion, really, isn't it? But anyway, so what? So at least I'm able to make an episode about in which we canvass the idea of ditching the Republic. Maybe bring in a second Republic, a different one. Start again with a new constitution. Maybe bring in an empire, like Rome did. But I've made such an episode, and it's coming up. I end up arguing that maybe it's not a good idea to wait until you have to. Maybe jump early. Do it early. Now, this is not Facebook. It's YouTube, and it's me. So, even though I argue the case for dumping America, the idea of America, the experiment, even though I argue for that, it doesn't mean that I think it should happen. That's Facebook thinking, that's Twitter thinking. Oh, can you believe that guy? He said that America should be smashed. Put him up for treason, Well, I'm an Australian, so I can't go up for treason. But sack him from his job, But that's how it works on Facebook. Eventually, look, I might be cancelled, by people who don't comprehend that things are worth discussing. Even if you don't think they should happen. Just because you say, let's discuss this, it doesn't mean you think that thing should happen. That's Twitter thinking, to assume that, someone who says, oh, yeah, maybe we should have an American empire instead of an American republic come 2021 and to meet the challenges of a perfect storm that might come along then, something with a little bit more discipline for a start, because they're a basket case. They are Americans, people. Anyway, they seem to be anyway, to me. I could be wrong. But just because I say let's chat about that, doesn't mean I am saying let's do that. It's just saying that I'm able to chat about that because I'm not an American. Whereas someone like Dan Carlin, who is, he is infinitely my superior on matters, politics and history. Now, I've heard that much by listening to him. Even though he's better than me, he's a bit hamstrung and he can't make the episode that's coming up next. And here it comes. And it's the episode Dan Carlin couldn't make, I think. In which we say, well, let's pack it in. France, what have they had? They've had about 5 republics. That one didn't work, chuck it out. That sort of thing. America's still on the same republic they started with, and it's got to collapse. It's got to fall one day, because nothing can last forever. There was a guy in ancient Rome that said that he was crying at the walls of Carthage. As Carthage burned, and he said that's going to happen to Rome one day, and he was right. And it's going to happen to America one day. But here, what I'm arguing is, maybe if you know it's going to happen, maybe, is it necessarily a bad idea to bring the revolution forward? And that's what the next episode ends up being about.